Our goal today is to multiply and divide integers and to know why we're doing what we're doing and why it works. Okay, quick reminder. Integers include 0, positive whole numbers, going on forever in that direction, and the opposite of positive whole numbers, going on forever in that direction. All right? Remember, integers are not numbers with fractions. They are not numbers with decimals. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the commutative property of multiplication. And that sounds like a tough word and probably confusing, but let's break it down into a smaller word. You've probably heard people talk about their commute to work. All right, maybe they said their commute was slow because there was an accident, or their commute was long because there was a snowstorm, or maybe they had a really fast commute because they have an extra lane, they had an extra lane installed on the highway. Okay, so when you commute, you're going from one place to another. If I asked you to commute around the room, you'd move to a different spot in the classroom, or commute to a different desk, you would move to a different desk. So commute means to move from one place to another. Multiplication is commutative because if you have an expression that's only multiplication, the numbers can move to a different spot in the expression and you'll still get the same answer. So let's start with this example here. 2 times 3 is 6. All right? If the 3 commutes to a different place and now it comes before the 2, we still get 6. 2 times 4 is 8. If the 2 commutes to the other side of the 4, or the 4 commutes to the other side of the 2, we still get 8. It doesn't change the answer. All right? Last problem. 1 times 7 is 7. If the 1 commutes to the other side of the 7, we still get 7. So that's why the commutative property works for multiplication. All right, let's start basic with multiplying integers. Let's start at like 3rd grade level, and here's why we do this. We get so caught up in just memorizing our multiplication facts, we forget why we're doing what we're doing. So I want you to go back and remember why it works, or why the answer to 2 times 3 is 6. So 2 times 3 looks like this. 2 positives. How many times? 3 times. So I should say 2 positives 3 times. In other words, 6 positives. Okay, 3 times 2. My number's commuted. 3 times 2 looks like this. 3 positives. 2 times. Again, I have 6 positives. If we move down and we start working with integers, so we start including negative numbers, negative 2 times 3 looks like this. I have 2 negatives. How many times do I have them? 3 times. All right, or I owe $2 to 3 different people. Whoops, ignore that. Just wanted to see if you were paying attention. 2 negatives 3 times. In other words, I have 6 negatives. Now when I go over to this example, here's a little bit of a toughie to understand. 2 negative 3 times. What does it mean to have something negative 3 times? That's a lot harder to understand, so I don't try. Here's what I do. I say, hey, it's multiplication. My numbers can commute. So let's put the negative 3 first. And now this problem says negative 3 2 times. I owe $3 to 2 people. I can do that. There's negative 3, and now I have it 2 times. In other words, I have negative 6, or 6 negatives. Okay, so then I just start remembering my rules here. I have $6, and I need to double it, or I need to give $6 to 2 people. I need positive 6 2 times, so I have 12 positives. All right, over here, I have 7 positives 3 times. All right, if I look at this example down here, 6 positives negative 2 times. That doesn't make a lot of sense, so I'm going to have my numbers commute, use that commutative property. Negative 2 6 times, I get that, okay? I understand that. I have 2 negatives, and I have them 6 times. In other words, I have 12 negatives. And then this last example over here, 3 negatives. I have them 7 times. So then I can use my prior knowledge. I know 3 times 7 is 21. And since I'm taking 3 negatives 7 times, I know I'm going to have a whole lot of negatives. I'm going to have 21 negatives. Okay, now here's where things get tough. A negative times a negative is a little bit harder to understand. Not harder to do, but harder to understand. All right, so let's look at this as money again. Negative 2 times 6. I would review that as I owe $2 and I owe it to 6 people. My life is rough, guys. Owe lots of money. All right, so altogether I owe $12. Now we're going to move down here and we're going to say this. Negative 2. I owe $2 and I owe it to 6 people. But I look and I see this little guy right here. They're taking, those 6 people are taking away my debt. They're forgiving my loan. They're saying, hey, you don't owe us anymore. Forget about it. And they already gave me their money. So they gave me their $2. And I was in debt to them. And then they're like, hey, forget about it. Don't worry about it. They're negating or taking away what I owe them. Okay? So really what happens is this. They gave me $2 and now they don't want it back. This person gave me $2, doesn't want it back. This person gave me $2 and isn't going to make me pay it back. Same with this person, and this person. So in the end, hey, I am $12 up. I got $12, don't have to pay it back. Feeling good. All right, so here we had a negative times a negative, and we got a positive 12 as an answer. Let's look over here. All right, so I owe $3. How many people do I owe it to? 5. Or $3 from 5 different people. I need to change my ways, clearly. Start making some money instead of just borrowing it. Okay, so altogether, I owe $15. Owing money is negative. Now, let's move down to this example, and again, I owe $3. How many people do I owe $3 to? 5. But these 5 people had pity on me. They're like, oh, you're borrowing money, you can't make money, we feel so sorry for you. And they're going to negate, they're going to take away, see this negative? They're going to take away their debt to me. I say, what? First person says, what? I gave you $3, just keep it. Don't worry about it. Next person says, keep it, you need it. Next person, keep it, I'm not going to make you pay me back. Next person, I don't need that money back. So these are now positives, they're not the best, most beautiful drawn positives ever, but you get the idea. So now all of a sudden, I owed $3 to 5 people, and they negated their debt. Remember, there was a negative sign here in front of that 5. So now I'm up $15. A negative times a negative, giving me a positive 15. Division. Very, very similar. So let's go back to basics. 6 divided by 2. 6 positives. Divided into how many equal groups? 2. So my answer, how many positives, or how many things are in each group? 3 positives. All right, next problem. 6 negatives. Divided into how many equal groups? 2. My groups look equal? Yep. How many is in each group? 3 negatives. Last problem. 6 negatives. I owe $6. And I have to split it. I owe it to 2 different people. So how much do I owe them each? Well, let's split it. I owe them each $3. But they are going to negate my debt. They are going to remove my debt. See this negative right here? They're going to take that, they're going to take my debt away is what that's saying. So, first person says, hey, don't worry about it. Second person says, hey, don't worry about it. Okay? So then, I have 3 positives, or just 3 in each group. All right. So quick breakdown here of the rules. Multiply or divide 2 numbers with the same sign. So you multiply 2 positives together, or you multiply 2 negatives together. You're always going to get a positive answer, as you saw from the problems we just did. Multiply or divide 2 numbers with different signs. So multiply a negative and a positive together. You're always going to get a negative. Let's put this together, okay? So if you have a problem with more than one thing being multiplied or divided, you always multiply or divide from left to right. They're equal. So you don't do multiplying first, you don't do division first all the time. You just do whatever comes first in the problem. So negative 12 divided by 2. Same sign, positive answer. Positive 6. Divide that by negative 3. Different sign, Negative answer, I get 2. My time's running out, so that means that you can finish these last 2 problems in your math notebook, please, and I will check them tomorrow.